are the human experience, with our flaws, our passions, our triggers, our inspirations, and our imprints. If we could see behind everyone's story, then perhaps what we would have is deep compassion. In this podcast, I get the chance to explore these stories from some truly fascinating people in some honest and heartwarming conversations. And best of all, I get to share these discussions with you. I'm Lael Stone, and this is Humans Being. Welcome everybody to Humans Being. It's lovely to have you here. My humanness this week has been all about reflection, and in the context of I have a mentorship that I run that goes for 8 months, and it's a journey that I take people on, and every month we look at a different part of who we are as humans. We start at where we're born, and then the first month is about birth, and the second month is about the child, and the third month is about the teenager. And the fourth month, we explore our relationship to sexuality, and then we move on to our purpose and relationships. And it's deep, and it's really all about understanding ourselves more. And at this time of recording, we have just finished the month of the teenage self. And I have done this, guided people through this work, quite a few times. And each time that I do it, other elements of my inner world surface. And particularly with the teenager for this month, I have been doing a lot of reflecting and sitting in what we do as a teenager in order to belong. And, one of the things I've really been sitting with is trying to have a lot of compassion for myself. Because as I look back to teenage Lael, who, when I feel into her, she was just so awkward. I mean, I think most teenagers are pretty awkward, but she was really looking for wanting just to be accepted and belonging, which I think is the journey of many through adolescence. And as part of that wanting to belong, I recall and I'm reflecting on times in my life where perhaps I didn't treat people well, perhaps where I abandoned myself in order to just belong and fit in. And now having the adult lens, as I look back on that part of my life, I just feel this deep compassion for teenage me. It's like I want to go back in time and hug her and say, you don't have to do this in order to belong, and you are amazing just the way you are, and you will find your feet, I promise you, and you will develop into something so amazing, and you'll be able to take your gifts out of there into the world. But as I've been working with that teenage part of me, there's been, I guess, just a lot of compassion and tenderness needed for those times where perhaps I didn't stand my ground or I didn't behave, in a way that was really honoring of myself and others. So my invitation for those listening is when you think back on that teenage self, when you think about that time in your life, I mean, a lot of us actually go, I do not want to think about that time in my life because it can be painful for some people. But if you were to look back on that teenage you, or through a lens of deep compassion for the being that you were at that time, are there words that you would want to offer that part of you? Is there something that you want to lean into and just hold tenderly about that? I often say, because I've worked with parents for a long time, we move through all these stages of our lives and then we become parents. And then when our kids start to move through puberty and into adolescence, it's often when all those stories and pieces that we've pushed down around our teenage self surface. And so it can be a beautiful thing to look and reflect on, when we're not in the thick of it and raising teens, so we can actually do a little bit of our own work. So by the time our kids do get to that space, we're pretty anchored and grounded, and perhaps we've done some of our own healing work. So feel into the teenage you. What comes up when you think of them, and what kind words do you think they might need to hear as you bring your adult wisdom lens to that part of your life. That's my humanness for this week. Now, the teenage self is probably one of the most perfect segues to this beautiful guest that I have with me. I am so thrilled to have with me Bec Sparrow. Welcome, Bec.
Oh, thank you for having me. I can't wait for this conversation.
So good. We're going to just read about Bec first before we dive into it. Bec Sparrow is one of Australia's most trusted voices on teen and tween life. And I promise you, I didn't go, what can I talk about? Because I have just finished the teen self in my mentorship. I did think it was very apt that that's what we're going to discuss. For more than 20 years, she's worked with thousands of young people and their parents on how to find friends, handle conflict, and set healthy boundaries. That work anchors most of her output: the books, the speaking, the Birds of Feather Book Club Empire, and the podcast she co hosted with Maggie Dent, Parental as Anything. She's the author of 7 books spanning fiction and nonfiction, and she's also a mother to 3 teenagers. So I'm sure you are right in the middle of this right now, who I'm sure she's putting all her research and learning into practice with. So my first question to you, Bec, is in my just reflection of my humanness then, when you think back to being a teenager, what was that experience like for you? Like, how do you feel when you look back on teenage Bec?
Look, it's interesting. I think I made a very smart decision for myself. So when I first became pregnant with my daughter, Ava, she's nearly 18 now. When I became pregnant with her, I decided that I wanted to stop writing fiction and I wanted to write a book of advice for kids in high school. And that's because increasingly, despite the fact that I had written fiction, I kept being asked to go into schools and talk to high school kids about life lessons and friendships and when I was putting this book together, and it's called Find Your Tribe and 9 Other Things I Wish I'd Known in High School. And I'm not plugging it because I don't even know you can get it. It's very old. I don't think you can buy it anymore. But I reflected on the fact that when I was in high school, I was not one of the shiny people. I wasn't ever a captain or a leader or a prefect. I wasn't one of the sporty people, one of the sporty superstars. I did pretty well academically, but I was not one of the kids getting all of the academic awards. And I certainly, as shocking as this is, was not the cool group, right? In fact, I like to say to this joke probably only goes to people my age, but I looked not dissimilar to Harold Bishop with a perm. I was John Bon Jovi in high school. I had like the corkscrew perm and huge glasses and stonewashed down. So I wasn't in the cool group when I was at school. And I say to teenagers and parents all the time, I wasn't one of the shiny people.
Yeah.
When I was at school, I was really average, right? And yet, despite that, I am someone who can tell you that overall, I really liked high school. I had a good time. Not every day. Nobody likes every day, but overall, I had a good time. And I thought, why is that? Why did I have a good time when all of the messaging, and it's only gotten worse, says that the only way your child is going to enjoy primary school or high school is if they're one of the shiny people. That unless they are, in the A basketball team or they've got a leadership badge or they're winning and they're standing out, they're not going to have a good experience. And we've become more and more obsessed with that message that if my child's going to have a magical experience at school, they've got to stand out. And I realized, because I didn't stand out, and I realized it's because the best decision that we can make for ourselves in our lives, I believe, is something that by luck I got right, which is who you choose to hang around. And so I chose lovely people to hang out with. I chose friends. I remember in grade 8, so this is in 1985, I had a choice between continuing to hang out with a girl I'd been friends with in primary school who'd suddenly become very cool and edgy, and her group of friends were shoplifting and doing all kinds of things. Or I'd met these other 2 girls, Lynn and Robin, who were not cool, and they would agree with that. I said that they were not cool, but we laughed so hard when we were together, and I could be my real self.
Yes.
I could be my real self and say, I still watch Young Talent Time, and I don't listen to that cool music, and I like Bananarama and all of these things, right? And so that's part of it. And I remember choosing that that's who I was going to go with. And I think it's decisions like that. So I think when you say, what were my teenage years like? Friendship wise, I got it really right. At the same time, though, I would say that there has been a part of me my whole life that has also felt a bit on the outside of things. I never felt like a normal teenager. I never felt like a normal teenager because I didn't, I liked being by myself. I didn't like parties. Sometimes I just not could read things the wrong way, but I could struggle at different times with, I don't know, maybe with friendships a little bit, but I think those two things have fueled this passion that I have about helping to unlock friendships for kids and teenagers and actually also their parents.
Yes.
So I think it's come from that. I think it's come from I did make good choices, that I had good friends, and also I feel like, you know, Dr. Brené Brown says so often in life, it's me search, not research, you know. So I think I've had to learn. I don't think friendship comes naturally to me.
Yeah.
That's what it is, right? I don't think actually it comes naturally to me. So I've had to study it in order to understand how to be a great friend to people. And I'm so introverted and like being by myself, but I know how important friendships are. So I've kind of had to reverse engineer. I've had to learn it for myself and then realize I can teach it to other people. Does that make sense?
It makes complete sense.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I love the I love the gift of what life gives us, you know, and I really live by that. That embodied lived experience is something that is so powerful when we share that with others. You know, we can study all the things, but the lived experience makes such,
Yeah.
you know, and so I absolutely love that. Before we jump onto the friendship thing, just staying with teenage Bec for a minute, like if you were to go back, is there something that you wish, excuse me, she had have known or wish that you could have told her that would have just allowed her to settle a little bit more? Is there anything that you look back on and think, oh, you know, I think if she had have known, you know, just staying true to you, or is there anything that comes up for you?
Oh, look, there's probably a lot of things about how I felt about myself and you know, like a lot of teenage girls, never feeling like I was, you know, and this is the 80s, I was a teenager, so it was brutal, that magazine diet culture.
Yeah.
So never feeling like I was pretty enough or thin enough, um, you know, or that, you know, you would have boyfriends and you would eventually fall in love. But I think the other interesting thing is, um, as weird as this is, I spent my later teenage years always feeling I was meant to do something. Like I was asking my parents when I was like 18 years old for books on strange books on leadership and you know, unusual kind of things like that. And I sort of think I had this sense in me from a really young age that I was meant to do something. Um, not be famous or not be, I don't know, but I I've always felt like that I have a calling, and I didn't know what it was, right? But I was it was like an itch I couldn't scratch. It was like this thing of I feel like I'm here for something. And that's probably also part of my belief system, but I feel like I'm here for something, and I just didn't know what it was.
Yes.
And I can see, for a long time when I was a teenager, I wanted to be a children's TV host, and I used to right away to audition for Wombat and Saturday Disney, and you know, and never got them. And but I can see all the different things that I've done, and all the failures, if you call them that, or the missteps, have all led me on this strange path to where I am now. And I do believe I'm doing what I'm meant to be doing in this lifetime. Like I believe that in my core, and I'm someone who believes that we all have a calling, that you're here to do things, not famous things, but whatever your patch of the world is, like my mission in life, if I have one, is to be a force for good. And to use, I'll cry, and because I know you're the same, it's to use whatever skills or talents, however small or insignificant they may be, to make my patch of the world a little bit better. That's how I feel, and I take it really seriously, and I probably sound like a big
No,
woman.
I get emotional talking about it. I love that. I love that you get emotional because it's true. I'm feeling that as well.
Mm.
Really relate to your story. I remember feeling like that as a teenager or just even a young adult. I remember thinking, I'm not here for a small life. I used to say that to myself, like, I know that there's stuff I'm meant to be doing, and the frustration was, and it hasn't revealed itself yet. Like, what am I meant to be? What am I meant to be doing? And you're right, as we grow and you look back on your story, you realize, oh, everything was so lined up for where I am now. And I really relate to you. I think it is such a beautiful thing when you know kind of what you're here for. And, I feel similarly, my place or my mission is to help people understand themselves better. And if people get that, then I'm like, I just feel like I've lived a really rich life. Like I often think that
Yes.
feels such a privilege isn't the right word. It just feels like, wow, what a gift to be able to stand in that place. And I know not everybody feels like that. There's a lot
Yeah.
of wandering around going, what am I meant to be doing? And what's my purpose? Or where am I meant to be? But I think I sound a bit like you. From a young age, there's been this North Star that says there's something more. There's something here. And I think that's probably why I've never been able to work for anybody, because I've like, I have to do it my way. I've got to find my way to do it. I tried to work for people and I got so fed up and I was like, nah, I need to be my own boss. And, I think at the age of 20, I started my first company because I was like, right, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm just going to do it my way.
Yeah, that's okay. That is so similar to my story, because when I got my first job out of uni and I was working for the Red Cross in their PR and marketing department, I remember on my second day, I'm still living at home with my parents, and I came home and I said to them, is this it? This idea that you'd be at an office at 9 and leave at 5 and come home and have dinner and then go back again. And I just decided then, I'm not doing this. I have to work. I have to work for myself. And I think the other challenge that I have is, I feel like, sorry if this sounds weird, everyone, but this is just who I am. That there's the things that I feel like I'm called to do or want to do. And then I've also got, in this lifetime, this personality that I'm dealing with and trying to, here I am, Rebecca Sparrow, with this childhood and these triggers and this personality. And so trying to align and learn about myself so I can stop getting in my own way and kind of, how do you align your personality and who you are, in this lifetime, if you want to look at it like that, with also your spirit and who you the core of you is, and what you're trying to achieve and trying to be, and it's trying to get those things as close as possible so that you can do the work that you feel you are here to do. And also having this really human experience of, gee, I get triggered by this and I'm not good at emotional regulation, and I'm, why did that press my button and I'm jealous, or why did I react like that? So it's looking at those two things that I'm always interested in: growth and how can I be a better person, and what do I need to do in order in this lifetime to achieve what I want to achieve or have the best impact.
Yeah, I love it so much. I so deeply relate to what you're
Yeah.
saying. And I think that, I think the beauty of this is we're all unique and different. But for me, I remember as a young kid, like maybe I was 8 or 9, sitting down with my mum going, but why do I feel the way I feel? And why is that person behaving that way? Like, my yearning to understand people was so huge from a young age, and understand myself. Like, I remember saying to my mum, like, I wanna go to therapy, like, and she's like, "Why?" Because I was like, "I wanna understand myself better." I'm just like,
Yes.
"Okay." Like, there was such a deep, like, "But why is this way?" And I really agree with you. I think there was such a link for me between understanding the self and how I responded and how I behaved and what I'm here to do. And I mean, that's been a quest for like, now 51 that I'm still on that path of like, oh, that's interesting. I just got triggered there. And what is that about for me? And the more I can learn about who I am and how I work, it feels, I don't know, it feels powerful because I think the more we know ourselves, the more we understand our stories, the more we then can actually move forward in life, with more of a sense of freedom, but also about creating beautiful things in our world.
Yes, and I completely agree with you, and I think that this is, um it's always magic when you speak to people who, um, have that same experience or see the world in that way, and I think as well, this is why, I think social media is tricky because it's, so much encouraging us to, obviously curate our lives, but to project an image of perfection. And one thing that I anyone who reads my work online or who follows me, I never want to give people the impression ever that I am someone who is nailing anything. Anything, because I'm rolling along like everyone else, stuffing up, you know, and just trying to do better. And so sometimes the things that I post online, are more questions that I'm grappling with or I want us all to sort of think about. But I don't ever want people to look at me and think, "She's amazing, she's got it all together." I really don't. I live in chaos. I said I was on a panel yesterday with, to a group of new mums, and I I thought I'd be a much better mother than I am. I think the best mothers are the ones who don't have children yet, like, just you sort of some days you nail it and sometimes you really don't, and it's hard. It's hard. Um, but I'm interested I'm always interested in getting better and learning more and being around people who can teach me things and open things up inside me, crack me open and just help me see new ways of being or thinking. Yeah, and I think life is amazing. And I was listening to an episode you did a while ago, and you were sort of saying, you always have too much on your plate. You want to do all the things and have too much on your plate, and I think, and I'm the same. I'm not good at rest, and I always take on too many things. But I think it's also fueled by I find life exciting. I find life exciting. And I saw a quote a long time ago. I cut it out. I don't know if I've still got it on my filing cabinet. And it said, is that it there? It said, I don't want to just live the length of my life. I also want to live the breadth of it. And so that's me. I think sometimes I'm like, this is our one shot at this lifetime. And I do want to do all the things. And I know I can't do them well, but I kind of just, I want to have a crack.
Yes.
And sometimes that does lead to makes, I won't say burnout. I don't feel like I get burnout because I really love it. So do I get tired? Yes. But I don't get burnout in the sense that I'm so energized. Every day I have such a privilege. Every day that I get up, I'm excited. Excited of things that I'm reading or people that I'm going to speak to or learning or doing or opportunities. And what a gift that is. That's what I wish for my children, that they have work that is meaningful, that they wake up, in the morning and are like, another day that I get to sort of do this thing and be a part of the world. So
I
yeah.
love that so much because I think it is so easy for us in certain seasons of our lives to lose focus of that, to stop looking at the horizon and what's possible and be in the, oh, here's another day. This is, what I've got to do. And I work with a lot of people who feel that, who feel stuck, who don't feel alive within their being, and sometimes that's because of the family they've grown up in. Sometimes it's their circumstances. And I say to people all the time, what my hope for you is, and remember that possibility always exists, and that we actually have the power to create our life the way we want. Now, we do have hard things that happen, and we have challenges, but we always have a opportunity to ask ourselves, what do I want this to look like, or what is possible here? And I think that to hear you talk about that, you wake up and go, what is here today? What is life going to bring me? Is so inspiring. I think we need to keep hearing that, because we forget, life can be hard. And especially when you're in the season of raising little kiddos, which a lot of people who are listening to me are in that. And,
Yes.
I hear you, and I know how hard that is. And it's the day after day of the similar kind of stuff. But I think it's so important to try and keep that little spark alive of, this is just a season, and that will shift and change. And probably like where you and both and I are, Beck, like our kids are bigger, there is more space that opens up. There is more time
Definitely.
yourself. And there is, it's like, I feel like I'm only really getting started now at 50. I am like, okay, let's go. And I also have the same thought in my head of, what am I waiting for? 'Cause like, all the times that you keep yourself small or don't do stuff because you're like, oh, what are people going to think? What if it doesn't work? I think I've reached this point now where I'm like, fuck it.
Yes.
What am I waiting for?
Yes.
No, the time is now to take a risk, to jump in, to try the thing, because exactly as you say, we don't know how long we're here for. Like, life, it is here to take. If we can, orient ourselves to the possibility of it, I think then that's where we get to live more of these beautiful, meaningful lives.
Yes, and I think, two things. I think I definitely I don't wanna act as if, people listening might, "Oh, every day she's like, okay, wait." Like, I've had hard moments. I've had hard seasons. I've also been, I've had the time where I had, 3 kids under 5, and not a lot of family support, and what I would say, and it can feel like a grind. Like, I remember that. I remember it really clearly, and what I would say is, even if whether it's every day or every week, you have something that is yours, that that lights you up to keep going. And I remember, Trent Dalton, the author, once said to me, I had him, talking to some wonderful teenagers, who are in a, uh, what we say, underprivileged, tough lives. Teenagers in a school where, similar to Trent, some of them had parents in jail or with addiction issues, and tough lives, these teenagers. And he said to them, don't let your pilot light go out. Right? I've never forgotten it. Don't let your pilot light go out. And so I'd say to, like, new mums and mums with, it's hard. Don't let your pilot light go out. So even the little thing that is you in there between the washing up and the nappies and the this and the that and putting kids in car seats, and it's like having something that's yours, whether it's a book and a cup of tea or something that you love to do, that you can just keep that flickering. And I promise you, as your kids get older, more time opens up.
Yeah.
More time opens up. And you and I, we're in this season now where we do have more time, and it's so exciting. But I do remember what it was like when you feel like you can lose yourself, because you can just feel like, I'm here and I'm just a housekeeper, and I'm just going around to activities and giving kids snacks, and it can feel really thankless. So I would just say, one, lower your standards, and two, if you can keep something that's yours that just makes you feel like you.
Yes.
Keep that flickering away, even if it's 10 minutes a week that you're thinking about a novel that you want to write, or doing a bit of painting, anything, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Keep that little bit. Don't lose that, and try and make time for it, because it's important. It's important to keep that time for you, the person, sitting alongside you, the mother.
Yeah, totally. I remember one of the most powerful things I did when I was at home with 3 kids and schools and all, just in that season where you're just doing that day to day. And, there's always been a passionate businesswoman in me and the desire to create. And I've always done little side hustles. And I was feeling that pull between, I want to sink my teeth into this thing I'm creating. And also, I'm full-time mum at home with the kids. And I actually went and had an astrology reading, and I love me some astrology. And she is looking at my chart, and she basically said to me, this time of your life right now, this period, this is about just chopping wood, carrying water. She said, this is not the time to be launching new things. It is not, she said, and she was talking from an astrological point of view. She's like, the planets just aren't aligned. It's not now. And she said, but then, and then she's showing me the timeline, this is when it's going to land. And this is the time you would do it. And there was something in just hearing that from a complete person I was paying that gave me permission to go, this is this season for now. It is not the time to push this. And even though there was a little part of me that still wanted, to go and take over the world and do all those things, I actually just in hearing that made me go, take a breath, like be here now with your kids. We always hear it goes so fast, and it does, and now my kids are adults and I do look at them and think, oh my God, it has gone so fast. But I also just think it was such wisdom for me to hear this is not the time yet. And now as I move into another space where there is a lot more space and there is more time, I look back and think, gosh, that was such a gift to hear that, because it gave me permission to just be where I was with my kids and yet also still have that little flame on. I mean, I love that pilot light analogy. It's so, so good. But it was something about the permission to know that this is where we are right now. It helped a lot.
Look, I agree with you. And I think the problem is, and I remember feeling this myself at the time is and I was also, my husband was training as an obstetrician. So we were just constantly moving house. I had little children moving around, and you sort of think, well, what about, for people who are career driven, like, well, what about my career? And you can get trapped in this thinking of somehow I'm going to get behind. I'm going to lose all these opportunities, and that's, I like to think what is meant for you will not go by you, and so it's give yourself exactly what you said. Give yourself permission to lean into the season that you're in. Lean into it, because the opportunity, what is meant for you it'll come back around, or it's waiting for you, and so that feeling of I'm stuck here, and then when I do want to go back out, it's not going to be the same, and I'm not. I just think when you can learn to lean into that current of life, the stream, the current, it will push you along to the people that you are meant to meet and the paths that you're meant to cross, and the opportunities will come. And when you trust it and just go, it's okay, because I know I'm going to lean into these years when my kids really need me, and I'm at home. And yes, I heard Libby say, yes, it can be really boring. It's really boring sometimes, and monotonous, and also amazing and joyful and cup filling and cup draining, all of it, all the things. But lean into it, because there's a big plan for your life, And again, when I say things like that, I don't mean fame and whatever. I just think a big plan in terms of joy. There's so much joy available to all of us, and I think we forget that. And I think that it feels like a really scary time to be alive at the moment. The news, it's like a bin fire, and it's actually frightening. And that's where, you lean into the small joys and your friends, and the things that light you up. And I promise you, all of those things, the connection, we're so lonely, so many of us, we're lonely, lean into connections and leaving the house and meeting people. And you know what? I will walk away from this conversation with you today buzzing, because these kind of conversations, maybe it's not for everyone, light me up, right? And I will walk out going, wow, what a gift. How amazing I got to be on your podcast. How amazing I got to meet you and talk about these things. And life is full of unexpected things like that. You just got to have that faith that it's out there, and just turn away from the news cycle and surround yourself with the joy and the love, I think.
Oh, you are speaking my language. This whole podcast is just us agreeing with each other. Oh, I wanna come to friendships for a bit because it is one of the things, having worked with parents for a long time, much like you, it's, when our kiddos are struggling with friendships, it is such a pain point for parents, Their kids are having a hard time. And I would love, there's so much that's in friendships and, we can't cover it all in this podcast here. But if you were to give parents just like your top 3 pieces around helping your children with friendships, like what would you say?
Okay. The first thing I would say is that we probably need to do a better job of modeling it. Now, I grew up watching my parents be really social. And I think it was a 70s and 80s thing that there were dinner parties and there were tennis groups and there were people dropping over, right? The drop in. That doesn't happen anymore because we're all terrified our house is too messy. But friends dropped in and there was a lot of everyone come to our house for a barbecue and then I realized, and so I saw in real time I saw how friendship worked and I saw what happened when, my parents would be on the phone to someone who was going through a divorce or having a bad time or this person's in hospital. So we're going in, we're taking them things and it was modeled to me. And I realized even recently that my husband, Brad, and I, so Brad is an obstetrician. He works very long hours, that we would get to the end of the week and slump onto the couch, get takeaway and watch The Pit. That's what we were doing. And that our kids weren't seeing us. And I would see my girlfriends during the week when my kids were at school, but they weren't seeing us socialize. And so I made the decision this year. I read an amazing article from a woman, her name escapes me, unfortunately, but she wrote this amazing article on deep casual hosting and on the importance of letting go of this idea that your house has to be perfect, that you can do casual hosting and let people come over and have deep connections with people and give yourself permission to have people over and your house is not perfect. And so I immediately invited my friend Jane, who I work with. We've worked together for 5 years. I had never had her and her 4 boys over to our house. I hate cooking. My house was always a mess, but we had hot dogs. Dessert was like ice blocks on a stick. And her, the kids ran loose and my house wasn't perfect and we had an amazing time. So one thing I would be saying to people is, I think we want to be modeling friendship more. That would be the first one. The second one, I think I would say, is the importance of in-person catch-ups. It's very tempting, I think, with our kids still. Well, I think there are a lot of parents who maybe don't have a great social muscle anymore. They don't want to be inviting. They don't want to, I don't know. It's easier for our kids to be on the couch, on devices, playing games online or, talking to the friends online. And I would just say in-person hangouts for ourselves and our kids are really important. I think that the demographic with the highest rate of loneliness, it used to always be sort of people probably over 65. And you sort of think, oh, who are the loneliest people in society? That's going to be we think that's going to be elderly people who are widowed or they can't get out of their houses or whatever. It is now 18 to 25-year-olds.
Whoa, that's sobering.
Okay, so 18 to 25-year-olds who are either at university or TAFE or working are the loneliest demographic. It makes no sense. Why is that? Because when you're at school, you don't have to work for friendship generally. Like in terms of you're surrounded by kids who are at the same life stage, same milestones, lots in common, right? And I'll get on to kids who struggle with friendships in school in a second. But generally, you're surrounded by kids who you've got things in common with, right? I don't think our kids have developed that muscle of making small talk and walking into rooms where they don't know anyone. And so the moment that you leave school, and if you're doing uni online and don't like to talk on the phone, don't want to answer the phone, it's fine. But I think that muscle of friendship has to become intentional. You have to work for it. The moment you leave school, you're not going to be surrounded by all of these people that you're with. A lot of friendship is about proximity and repetition, that you're with the same people all the time. Well, uni or TAFE, that's out the window because it's all different people all the time, and you have to work much harder for it. And so I think we haven't taught our kids these social skills of going into a party where you don't know anyone. And it's really hard. It is hard. It's hard for everybody, right? Turning up to things. But I think so often our kids, we are uncomfortable with our kids being uncomfortable. And so when our kids say to us, I don't want to go to that, I'm not going to know anyone, I don't want to go on that camp, I don't want to do blah, 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 whatever it is. And we go, okay, I understand that, because also we're all becoming more introverted and not socializing. But making small talk is a skill, right? Being able to have a conversation that is a tennis match back and forth is a skill. Understanding the importance, particularly for teenage boys, of asking other people questions about themselves and not sitting there talking about yourself is a skill. You know, I say to parents and kids all the time, friendship is effort. It is effort. Anyone who says to you, oh, friendships shouldn't require work, that is a lie. Friendships are like any other relationship in our lives. They require effort, and they often require inconvenience, right? Because otherwise they can feel very transactional and fair weather. So part of friendship is, you know what, my friend's moving house on the weekend. I don't want to move. I hate unpacking boxes. But you know what? She needs help. So I'm going to go. I'm going to go and help her. I don't really want to, but I love her, so I'm going to go. Or my friend's in a play or in a basketball match on the weekend. I've got a lot of work to do. Yeah, I'm going to go. I'm going to go and be there for them. And it takes work. And I think this is what we're missing in this conversation. So if we go back, I'd say I want people to be modeling friendship. I want us to be teaching our kids these skills of start with even have them go into shops, send them in shop, get them. They want a haircut. They say, can you take me down to this store? You ring up and see if it's open. Like, this is a muscle we need to be building with our children, because being introverted, being shy is not going to cut it, because we need friendships. They light us up. They are a buffer. They are like, what do you call it? They're like a bumper bar on, if our life is a car, they're like a bumper bar on it, so that when bad things happen to us, bad things have happened to me in my life, I'm sure bad things have happened to you, people listening, bad things have happened. Our friends are like a buffer to that. They're like a bumper bar to help us survive things. So I think it's that. And the other thing that I would say, I'm probably a bit all over the shop with this, but I think one of the other things I would say is the importance of apologizing. Own your impact, right? Own your impact. That friendships are messy and we screw up because we're human, right? I teach this stuff to kids. I still screw up in friendships. The ability to say, I'm so sorry, I let you down, or I said the wrong thing, or I would say to people, I think of funny things to say in my head and they come out, I think, oh, that sounded awful. You know, to think, oh, I sound like a bit of a jerk, I was being mean. Own it. own it, because actually apologizing in a friendship can make the friendship stronger. Because I think it's teaching us that our friendship is robust enough to survive a rough patch or a hurdle or a hiccup. So having the courage to say, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I think that's critical. So I think, and I could sit here and Ken, if you want to, and people sort of say my child doesn't have enough friends, or they are always attracted to the wrong types of people. And I can give you 1,000 tips. I can give you 1,000 tips on how to make friends. Part of it is joining in. Get, two things: join things, and also have friendships that are at school and have friendships that are outside of school. Right? That's a big one. So yes, if you can, you want your child to have friendships at school, but you also want them to have friendships outside of school, because the school friendships are going to go pear-shaped at some point. All right? They just do, because they're kids and things happen. You want your child to have other people in their life that remind them that they're likable, that people still like them. So when the kids at school have turned, or their friendship groups turned on or dumped them, there's other people in their life, and it can be cousins, it can be family friends, it can be old friends from kindy, whoever it is, but other people that they spend time with to remember. People still want to spend time with me, and I'm worthy. So there's, I could go with friendship tips. I could go on and on.
Right there. And I'm just sitting here thinking of parents thinking, okay, they're all going to just be searching your name and getting onto your website for buying all your books which I hope they do, because I think I really love, there's so many things that you said there that I love. I think the piece that really stood out for me too is it takes practice and it's work, because
Yes.
we think it should be easy. And there are some people that you meet and connect and it just flows and it's effortless and you can feel that energy. But as someone who I do identify myself as an introvert, which I know people go, what? Because you get up on stage and talk and all that kind of stuff. But my nature is actually to be very quiet. And I do get weird if I have to walk into a group of people. Like I can do one-on-one. I'm great one-on-one. Or if I have to perform, put me on stage, I'm like on. But that in between in a group of people, I just get so weird.
True.
I'm not good at that. I'm not good at that. And I have had to practice so hard over the last, I reckon, 20 years, learning how to ask people questions and talk. And I think for me, I really learned this skill when I used to teach calm birth, so a birth education program. I used to go to people's house to teach it, and I'd walk into their house. And so I'm in their space, they're vulnerable, they're pregnant, and I would have to make small talk. And I learnt really quickly some really good things to light people up, which is always talk about their pets, because as soon as you talk about their pets, they want to tell you everything. I had to learn the skills to make them feel comfortable, but also to engage people. And I remember at the time thinking, this is so painful, I don't want to do it. But it actually is a muscle you have to exercise.
It's a life skill.
Yeah.
Because so much of our happiness in life comes down to our ability to connect with people.
Yeah.
Now, you don't have to connect with a lot of people, but I'm just saying your ability and whether it's even being good at conversation, being able to, in job interviews, talk to people, school parents, teachers, everything, but also understanding how to cultivate and build deep, loyal friendships. Because one thing that everybody has in common that I always say is what we all want is we want to have, one or two, maybe three people who are our ride or dies, that are in our corner, that love us for who we are, that if at 1 o'clock in the morning something really terrible happened and if you don't have a partner or you can't reach your partner or just to have a different perspective, you want people that you ring up who you know will answer your call, who are there for you. And to have those, and you can be friendly with lots of people. You can be friendly with lots of people, but those 2 or 3 people who love you and are there for you and are cheering you on, if you want those friendships, it takes work. It takes work. It is like, I always say to kids, it's like building a brick wall, and it's showing up for people. right? And every time you show up, you are making that friendship stronger. And so often in life, we are now going through, what are people doing for me? How's that making me feel? Right? But it's that whole thing. You want a village, be a villager. You want great friends, be a great friend to people. And it is effort, and it's showing up, and it's checking in. It's checking in with people, right? And it's not canceling on people, right? All these little things that people now do all the time are, I'm not saying, canceling once, but all the time. No showing on your friends and canceling. That's how that brick wall erodes, right? And so, I'm so passionate about friendships because all of the research is there to say that it is the quality of our relationships, which is the thing that is going to fuel our happiness, that is going to give to us this happy life. If you don't have great relationships, I don't care what you've built, how much money you're earning, if you don't have people around you to have a laugh who care about you, then you've got nothing, right? And it concerns me that we are becoming lonelier as a society. That is a real red flag to me. And so teaching our children how to make friends, how to be a good friend, how to apologize, how to repair a rupture in a friendship, how to identify that person's not good for me. That friendship's not working. Actually, I think I'm going to let that go. I don't like who I am when I'm with that friend. I don't like what they bring out, or I'm having, you don't ever want to choose between being loyal to your own values and being loyal to a group. That's not a choice any of us want to make. So I think these are skills that are so important. And I think at school, we get our eye on the wrong prize. We're so obsessed with scores and awards and am I on this team, or you know what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There's never been more time in life for you could bomb out at school, and there's a million pathways now that you can take. It's the social skills. It's the social skills. Can you work in a team? Can you, compromise? Can you not get involved in drama and politics in your workplace? This is parents and kids. We need to work on these friendship muscles, people. And also, it's the whole idea of we've seen a real decline in bridging capital. So that's that thing where we used to join things and be friends with people or meet people that we had nothing in common with, because we'd all be on the parent teacher, or we'd all be on this gardening group or tennis club or bowling or whatever. And so people who voted differently to you or have different upbringing and life experiences and beliefs, right? And we would connect with them and spend time with them. And they might not end up being one of our close friends, but we would learn to be more accepting, right? Because we were exposing ourselves to more people outside our bubble of we all vote the same and think the same and have the same upbringing and send our children to the same schools. Well, that's because we're not joining things. We're not having that exposure anymore to people who are different to us. And that's at the detriment to us as a society. We look at how polarized we are. We've got to be able to be friends with people who will vote differently.
Yes.
Us, to have a conversation.
Yes.
Go, that's okay that we're different. We see the world differently, but we can still be in the same room and see what we have in common. It's really interesting. I think that there's, I'm really passionate just about this idea of, I think friendship is a lot more important than we realize. I think we prioritize romantic relationships and our families, and that they are, of course, very important, but it is friendships that are actually going to see us through to the end. Not every marriage, not every romantic relationship lasts the distance, but friendships are there to nourish us, I think. And I think they make us better people.
Oh my God, there's so much gold in what you were saying. Thank you.
Sorry, you'll edit me down.
You're nodding along furiously. But you are so right. Friendships are gold. They make us better humans. And you're right, because relationships do come and go. And we have times in our families where it feels challenging. And there is something so powerful about a friendship that where you feel deeply seen and accepted. And I think for me, especially in this season of my life, I'm so lucky to have some amazing female friendships in my life, like women that I've either worked with, have friends that I've known since I was 12, new friends now who are like kind of, we discuss business together, we voice note all the time. And, I just feel so blessed that when something big is going on in my life, I know which friend I want to turn to talk to have a laugh with, to send funny things to. Like it is, as you say, and I know, that beautiful study, the happiness study of like, what is it that makes for a fulfilled life? Well, it is the quality of our connections and our relationships. And I'd love that this is something that you speak so passionately about, because I mean, what I'm really getting from this conversation is we just expect that it should happen, but actually we really do need to work on it. We really do need to
Yeah.
do it. And I remember reading, was it Try One Thing? What is the thing that you
Oh, join one thing.
join one thing? My goodness, when I read that about you, I was like, oh, this is gold. You want to talk about that for a minute? Because I think this is so perfect with what you're saying around stretching ourselves a little bit.
Yeah. So I think it was at the end of last year. So like you, my brain is always buzzing, and I have that mission. I always think, how can I be a force for good? And the things that I'm interested in, that I'm learning and opening myself up to, how can I bring other people with me? And I would say to people listening to this that everyone can do this. Like never think that, you're talking about social media, or even if you're not on social media, we all have a sphere of influence in our lives, and always be willing to be the person to sort of say, hey, I'm trying this thing, or I'm doing this thing that I think is going to bring meaning and happiness to my life, and who wants to come with me? I think sometimes we think, oh, I can only do that if I've got X amount of friends or X amount of followers. Everyone can do that. Anyway, I spend a lot of my spare time reading nonfiction books about happiness and friendship and loneliness, because that's a good time to me. It's sitting around reading nonfiction.
My good time is reading books on trauma. I'm like, oh, there's another book on trauma.
It just fills my cup. I'm sitting around reading nonfiction, and I can just, and looking at just the rising rates of loneliness, and particularly that stat I told you about, that's very concerning to me, about 18 to 25-year-olds, of how lonely they are. And I just thought, what can I say? What idea could I have? And I just thought, my mission is to encourage everybody this year to join one thing. Join one thing, because I think that I was talking to a woman who actually works in a not-for-profit agency dealing with people who are isolated. And she sent me this stat, I don't have it in front of me, who said the amount of money spent by the government on in-home care would be dramatically reduced if we put more effort into social prescribing, which is essentially encouraging people who, whether it's mental health issues or physical health issues, that when you get people involved in community activities, when you help them connect and make friends, when you give people a reason to get out of bed and have a shower and leave the house, it can change everything, right? So all of this money that they said that we are pouring into home care nursing for people, so much of it is fueled by loneliness and disconnection. And that when people think there are people who are waiting to see me, who are looking forward to see me, and so I'm going to get out of bed and have a shower. I'm simplifying it, obviously. I don't want to disrespect people who have absolute issues to do that. But anyway, I just sort of thought this idea of encouraging people to join things. When I see this loneliness epidemic happening around the world, I just want to encourage people to join things. And so I just started looking at things that I'm doing. And I sort of say to people, it can be a book club, a dance class, it can be volunteering, right? It can be go and do tuck shop at your child's school, anything. Join something. I promise you, there are friendships out there waiting for you. There are connections. Never, I think it was a famous Seinfeld episode when they said, I'm not hiring. I don't need any more friendships. I'm not hiring. I don't have any room. That's the worst attitude to have ever. Be open, because a great friend is out there waiting for you to cross paths with them, right? That could just break your life open in the best way. And so, yeah, I'm constantly on my page, on my social media channels, and I've done a few radio interviews, trying to encourage people to join things. And people just there's so many different things. I was on radio, and a woman rang up and just in her area started a camping group for people who can't camp. People who've never camped before. She was an experienced camper, but anyone who's ever wanted to try camping, she was like, let's do it. She's now got all of these families who go and do this kind of, casual camping together. It's a bit of a hot mess and they love it. But there are so many things out there, right? I just joined an 80s dance class. So it's called the Common People Dance Project. And I thought, I can't dance to save myself. Also, secretly hate exercise. And so I thought, but I want to do more exercise. That's right. This started because I don't like exercising, but I know I have to exercise, muscles, build muscle strength, all of that. So I joined a local exercise class. I walk in by the end of the 30 minutes, I've never met these women before. One of these women said, I've always wanted to, this 80s dance class I've heard about. Who wants to come with me? Before I knew it, these women I'd known for 30 minutes, I'm agreeing to not only do this exercise class with them, but then go to a dance class with them the next night. This group of women, because I said yes to this exercise group, I've now got all these other friends in my life, these amazing, hilarious, wonderful women that I've just met, who now we're doing this crazy dance class together. And now I've met other women. It is bringing such joy to my life. And so when people say, and I know different seasons of your life, and sometimes we're like putting everything into work and everything into my kids, make time for friendship. It's so important, because I tell you something, and we don't have to go into this. When I lost my daughter, Georgie, I lost a child. I had a child who was stillborn back in 2010. Was it 2010? See, I even forget to it. But women saved me one lasagna at a time. It is my friends. It is women who were my friends and women I didn't know who saved me, right? So this is what I'm saying. It is that it is the friendships in your life, the women in particular are bloody magic. They are magic, and they will hold you up. And so I just want to encourage people, because I just think it brings so much joy. I haven't always been great at friendship. I'm so introverted. I'm like you. I've had to learn how to be a good friend. I've had to learn how to walk in to a room where I don't know anyone. I still find it terrifying. I do. I find it terrifying. I was so scared the day I joined this dance class at the beginning of this year. I sat in my car and did not want to go in, because I'm introverted and I feel awkward. But I made myself go. These women, they were like, hi, come and lift weights with us, and then let's do a dance class. And it was amazing. And we're all busy. People saying I don't have any time. Make time. Because I tell you something, go look at your phone and look at your screen time on your phone. It's probably like 6 hours. You've got time to have coffee once a week with some people. You've got time for friendship. You do. And so make time for it, because it is the thing that is like a balm to your soul, is what I would say.
I'm all in my feelings. I just have to just say to all the beautiful women in my life who are my friends, and you know who you are, I'm just feeling you all right now, and I'm just wanting to text you all and go, I love you and thank you for holding me. So there's that. And I just this try one thing is just
Join one thing. Yeah.
sorry. Join one thing is just the best. And I'm going to have to wrap it up. Now, I'm looking at my sheet here. I have another 10 things I was going to ask you, and I've asked you one. So we're going to have to do a version 2 because I haven't even covered all the other stuff. Bec, my God. Well, firstly, I just feel like I've made a new friend. So
Me too.
thank you for saying yes to this. I'm going to add another friend to my list.
Yes.
My goodness, you are such a beacon of light and possibility. Like what you are so in your flow and in standing in the place you are meant to be, because hearing you talk about this and also just your realness and your honesty, but also your passion, it is going to activate people to actually be brave and courageous and take a step forward. So thank you for the work that you do. Thank you for being you and being brave enough to road test all this stuff and stand in it, because the ripples go far and wide. So thank you so much for this conversation. Before we finish up, how can people reach you? What do you want them to know about what you've got going on? What give us a plug for you.
Oh, look, they can go to my website, which is just RebeccaSparrow.com. And I do want to say, if there's anyone, I have 1 million friendship resources and webinars on my website. If you are listening to this and you are struggling for whatever reason, financially or, whatever, I will give you free resources. So if you email me at hello@RebeccaSparrow.com, which is RebeccaSparrow.com, you just email me and say to me, I heard you on this podcast and I could use some friendship resources and I'm financially strapped. I will just send them to you. Okay, I've got a free code I can give you. So just email me, because I'm really passionate about, and I know how stressful it is as a parent when you're worried about your child not having friends. I have had that myself. You lie in bed at night worrying about it. It's very painful. Email me and I'll hook you up, right? Because I can give you resources. And and there's lots of other people in this space as well. I can also tell you other people to go to, but don't suffer alone, because it feels very stressful and isolating when you're a parent and you're worried about your children not having friends. It's such a stressful thing. And it's something that I can do easily is give people free resources. So just go to my website. I'm online on Facebook and Instagram, whatever. Just go to my website. And I just want to say I know lots of people listen to this, but I think there are a lot of women out there who are light seekers, and I think that we are going to change the world. That's what I think. I think we are together, working together, having these kind of conversations. I'm a bit of a hot mess and my conversation went everywhere, but we can be a force for good. When we work together, we can be a force for good of bringing about amazing change, and I think it's happening. And that's what I would say.
Oh, I'm not religious, but I want to say amen.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me on.
Such an angel. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to definitely have a part 2 of this conversation. You are a treasure. Thank you. So generous, so real. But I actually just feel a little bit lost for words. She's like, yes, thank you. Thank you, Bec. Thank you so much for being here. And to everybody listening, I hope this has touched your heart in some way. And I hope you are courageous enough to lean into those tough conversations, but also putting yourself out there, because on the other side of that is just such richness and love and joy. Thanks for being here, everybody. Thanks for sharing this time with me. You can find my book, Own Your Story, at bookshops or listen to the audiobook on Audible. I even read it myself. You can stay connected with Humans Being on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube. We love to hear from you, so please leave a comment, question, or contemplation. And visit my website, laelstone.com.au, where you'll find lots of great resources and courses for you to explore. This podcast is produced by Nigel Carboon, recorded by the crew at We Make Online Videos, designed by Mike Gall, and our original music is created by Josh Reed. Humans Being is produced on the lands of the Bunurong and Wadawurrung people. We pay respect to their unique and diverse cultures and to elders past, present and future. Until next time, stay connected and don't forget to be human.